Welcome to the Sports Marketing Machine Podcast, the podcast for those working in sports looking to level up their marketing skill set so you can sell more tickets, sell more merchandise, and grow your fan base. I'm your host, Jeremy Neiser. Today, we're going to talk about a bunch of different ways to sell over $100,000 in group ticket sales this year. Sure, there's a little bit of hyperbole here, but I've got an expert with me, Emmanuel from Spinzo. Spinzo is a great tool, helps teams sell a boatload of tickets. So you are the resident expert, right, Emmanuel?
I guess so. Thank you for that introduction, Jeremy. Yeah, we do help a lot of teams sell more group tickets, but more promotional tickets in general. The lines are blurring, as you know.
Absolutely, that's for sure. So, uh, I gave it a little bit of a title with a little bit of hyperbole here, trying to get people excited about selling more group tickets. But what we're going to talk about today is really some ways for teams to be able to implement some things, how they think about selling tickets, and even some ideas. So this is going to be an action-packed episode, and I've been looking forward to it. So I'm super pumped.
Yeah, I am too.
All right. So let's talk about it. So teams, most cases, are calling people up when they're trying to sell blocks of tickets, selling blocks of tickets to companies and little leagues and youth groups and all these different things, right? So foundationally, let's think about groups a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, I mean, the game has changed somewhat, Jeremy, as you know. Traditionally, you would sell large blocks of tickets, and I guess they would call that a traditional group,
Mm-hmm.
where you convince someone to buy 50 tickets or 100 tickets or 200 tickets. You work with one group leader, and you collect all the money from them. They collect all the money from the individual group members. That's a bit of the old way now, and I say old way, but it still exists.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is willing to pay you for a block of 200 tickets, we always say just take the money
Take the
and
money.
give them the tickets.
Yeah.
But that's becoming less likely these days. So groups have changed to be a little bit more each individual member of the group buying their own ticket, but as part of the overall group and getting the group discount. And that has a lot of implications. Number one, for the seller of the tickets, the sports team, it means that you have less reliance on the group leader, which is a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. When you
Mm-hmm.
have a group leader, you have to rely on them, contact them, they get busy, life happens. So that's number one. Number two, you give more control to the individual members of the group.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, say if you have a corporate group and the company's going to buy 200 tickets for their employees, maybe give two tickets to each employee. So that'd be for the person working at the company and maybe their partner or spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that employee wants to bring their partner, spouse, and their children, their
Mm-hmm.
one child, two children? You can't do that with a block of tickets where everyone gets two seats. So this gives more control to the individual buyer. So now they could buy a discounted rate, but they could buy a ticket for themselves, their spouse, and their children. That ticket could be subsidized. It could be free as part of the corporate deal, but it does give more control to the individual buyer. And finally, number three, it gives more data to the seller of the tickets. So this would be the sports team or venue.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the email address, the phone number, potential demographic interests of each individual buyer. So now, if you want to remarket, you can. That buyer could then, that employee of the company could come to more games, for example. So in general, there's a lot more benefits to the new way to do groups, which is to allow individual members to buy on behalf of the larger group.
So this new process of selling group tickets, it's created steam over the last few years. Has this been kind of in the backgrounds? Because I still see teams still do it the old way. We're going to call up the HR person and she's going to buy a block of tickets and have to figure out how to give them all out. But how long has this new wave been in and a lot of teams using it this way?
Yeah, I mean, it really started before COVID, but then once COVID hit, it just really accelerated that move. Because in the old way, that HR person has to collect the money, and now people are remote. It's a lot more challenging to do that. So it had been gaining steam before COVID, and I think for sellers of sports teams, they should adopt this new method, or at least
Mm-hmm.
have it in their portfolio to say, hey, if you want to buy a block of tickets, I'll take your money, but I could also send you a link that's gated and guarded so that your employees could buy tickets, and I could maximize it at, or have a max of two tickets per employee, whatever the HR person wants. but that makes for an easier sale. So if sellers are not adding that to their repertoire, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And that's just bare bones, Jeremy. I mean, there's other things that
Hmm.
group sales have evolved into, but that's kind of number one.
Number one. So this new concept, or this concept that we're talking about today, of really allowing the people who are part of the groups to be able to buy their seats or choose the seats or and all of that, and you just send them to a platform, allow them to choose, make it easier. This opens the door to a ton of different ideas, and I think we've talked before about a bunch of different ones. But loyalty programs, thank you programs, these are great because I remember trying to sell to a dentist, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to do a customer appreciation," but now he can because it's super simple this way. But I'm sure there's plenty of other ideas of loyalty and thank you programs, right?
Yeah, there are, and so this kind of redefines what it means to be a group. In
Mm-hmm.
the old traditional group, you needed a group leader, but is there a group leader for these thank you programs? Maybe not. So I'll give you an example here. One of our clients, the New York Jets, had done up a page, made it look really nice on our platform on Spinzo for Sirius XM satellite radio, but they made it look as if it was for the subscribers of
Mm-hmm.
Sirius XM. And so SiriusXM loved that. I think they're already a partner of the New York Jets in other ways. And SiriusXM sent it to all their subscribers in the New York City area. So that was very good. So it was billed as more of a thank you for being a loyal listener. We'd like to reward you with this discounted New York Jets ticket. So that's an example. The Jets have done things with Dunkin' Donuts too. On the receipt, you'd have a unique code printed, and that
Mm-hmm.
code would unlock a couple group price tickets for the New York Jets. Who's the group leader on that?
No
You
one.
can't collect the money, right? This is like people who buy Dunkin' Donuts. Many other examples. We had one of our clients, the Florida Everblades in the ECHL. They had previously partnered with a credit union there, and they gave all the members of the credit union discounted tickets. And you can gate these things to say you
Mm-hmm.
must use your debit card from the credit union, and Spinzo could help with that gating. There's other things you could do too, not involving group discounts, but possibly free tickets. The Atlanta Hawks had recently partnered with Planet Fitness, and everyone who was a Planet Fitness member in the area got may have been one or two free tickets
Mm-hmm.
to Atlanta Hawks games. So it's really more of a loyalty program for Planet Fitness. But now the Atlanta Hawks are going to sell additional tickets off of that.
Yeah.
We've seen bounce back offers on the Jumbotron. So you come to a game, you're in the last few minutes of the game. Hey, thanks for coming out. Here's a QR code with access to a unique offer for a future game.
And that way you can track everything. You know how many they're buying. You know where they're coming from. You're collecting email addresses. This is a win-win-win for everyone. The fan feels like they're getting a good deal, and you're collecting all of this information to be able to get them to come back out to more games in the future.
Yeah, it totally is. And again, it redefines the group. So the
Hmm.
group is past buyers. The group is Planet Fitness members. The group is Dunkin' Donuts customers. So you can really start to redefine what it means to be a group when you move toward this new method of selling.
Absolutely. So, special offers for events in town. This kind of gets me thinking like conventions that are coming into town. I'm sure you've got some experience with some teams that have done some things with events that came into town and they
Yep.
sold a boatload of tickets.
Yeah, I mean, events coming into town, that's a great way to engage a new audience, right? They're outsiders, they might want to check out the local team. And so we've done these offers at Spinzo for conventions, whether it be Comic-Con or other ones. And with conventions, a lot of people have some kind of badge number or registration number. You can load those into a system like Spinzo and others potentially, where that badge number gets you up to two or up to four discounted tickets for a game or event that's happening during the conference or convention. So that's a great way to do it. With one of our clients, we even partnered with, well, we didn't do this, the team did, partnered with hotels, with
Hmm.
the hotel concierges. So they gave hotel concierges a bunch of cards, each with a unique code on them. And
Hmm.
so when guests of the hotel go to the concierge looking for things to do, they could say, "Here, I have a special code and a QR code and a special link for you, special code you enter to give you discounted tickets for the local sports team." So that's a great way. And actually, you could tag those with our affiliate link technology to know
Hmm.
which concierge is selling the most and have a little competition.
Yep.
We could talk about that next if you'd like. But hotel concierges is a great way. Another one we've seen is career fairs.
Hmm.
Sports industry has a lot of career fairs. This company, Teamwork Online, We've actually partnered with them recently to run some upcoming webinars. But they run career fairs, maybe about one a month, in different locations across North America. And so you go to the career fair, but then you also have a ticket to a sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
And their career fairs are sports related, so it makes sense that someone might want to attend the local sporting event. So that's another way. Like, so you're really taking events that are happening in your area
Mm-hmm.
and then offering them group tickets. So the group is attendees at local events.
Yeah, any way you can sell some additional tickets, and it makes it easier for everyone, it's a win. So going to that concierge idea, so do we set up some sort of using Spinzo or whatever it is? Each the Hilton has their own platform, the Marriott has their own. So when that concierge gives that card, the fan goes to a Marriott page, so it actually feels like it's part
Right.
of the family, right? That's kind of the plan there.
Yeah, totally. The Spinzo platform is built with this, what we call affiliate link branding in
Mm-hmm.
mind. And so what that means is the pricing offer could be the same for all of the hotel chains,
Mm-hmm.
but each hotel chain could have their special skin on the page. And their skin would include their colors. It could include background image, background videos, different colors and tints, whatever they'd like,
Mm-hmm.
really. So the page looks and feels like Marriott or Hilton or whomever. You could even have the concierge's name on there too, so it could be brought to you by Mark if he's the one who
Mm-hmm.
gave you the deal. So we track this all in the back end, so the sports team could see which hotels are selling more and less. But yeah, you're right; it could feel exactly like that hotel. So branding is very key in these situations. You want people to feel special.
Mm-hmm.
In a world where ticket sales has gone very generic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just go to buy tickets and it just looks like you're buying an airline ticket. But really, sports is meant to be fun. It's meant to be part of the experience, and branding is key. So yeah, you can certainly do that on those offers.
So you mentioned the word competition. In sports, this is natural in the field, but what do you mean, like off the field selling tickets? What's this all about?
No, well, I mean, people love a friendly competition, and we've enabled gamification within the Spinzo platform, which enables groups to compete with each other, or they could be subgroups, as we call them. So I'll give you a few examples. Charlotte FC, one of our clients, they did an offer called Battle of the Complexes. So
Mm-hmm.
these are apartment complexes. So each apartment complex had a link to Charlotte FC offer powered by Spinzo. And when you go to purchase, you identify the complex that you're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Spinzo platform puts a live leaderboard on the screen so it shows which complexes are selling more tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could provide an incentive for the top selling complex. So in the case of Charlotte FC, they said the complex that sells the most gets a special event at their complex related to Charlotte FC. Now, I don't know if a player would show up or two. It's up to them to decide how to sort that out. But that's what they offered. So that's an example. We do a lot of offers where schools are competing with each other. So you go
Mm-hmm.
to a school district, you could say the top selling school gets a player visit at an assembly. So, school's off for an hour and a player comes and does a little speech.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an incentive. We do offers where charities are competing with each other. So you might have United Way, Make-A-Wish Foundation, UNICEF, and they're all competing. And the one that gets the most tickets through gets maybe additional fundraising dollars, for example, or maybe money from the foundation of the sports team. So
Mm-hmm.
charities compete. Youth sports, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're doing youth hockey. You have maybe 30 different youth hockey teams within a division or an association. You go after them, you put them all on a leaderboard, and you say the top selling one gets to practice at the venue, at
Mm-hmm.
the NHL venue, right? So that's a great incentive. When you do that, the parents of the kids then start sharing the link with their colleagues and friends. Hey, help my son Johnny get
Mm-hmm.
on the ice of the Anaheim Ducks at the Honda Center, right? So that's an example. So youth sports competing. And also we've seen more like sororities and fraternities competing. That could be for something special. Sometimes it's just for bragging rights.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you want to put some competition on there. Maybe you have first responder night and you could have police versus fire.
Mm-hmm.
And they get really competitive. No one wins anything, but it just
Sure.
shows who can bring out more of their base to the game. So competition is a key element of maximizing and optimizing and increasing your group ticket sales.
So how do you tie this together? When you mentioned the fire department and the police department, it got me thinking about theme nights. So we're going to
Yeah.
do a military appreciation or a first responders night. So this makes sense to create a way for emergency services and the EMR truck drivers and all of these different groups to be able to go in there, have a competition, come in, get their tickets, and just have a blast. You could really make your theme nights enormous because oftentimes when I see teams do theme nights, it's like we're just trying to sell single game tickets. But in reality, you can sell a boatload of group tickets pretty quickly using Spinzo and for theme nights like this.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of our clients use us for theme nights. It's important to bundle in some kind of product if you can,
Mm-hmm.
or experience. We've done first responders nights, of course. We did Margaritaville night with the Columbus Blue Jackets recently. Every buyer from that promotion got a Hawaiian shirt. There was, co-branded theme, Jimmy Buffett and all this. Actually, the Blue Jackets had done Bob Ross night, the painter, and
Mm-hmm.
so it included they had a Bob Ross certified instructor teach you how to paint something, and then there was the game after. So a lot of these theme nights work very well. People identify with them. LGBT night, yep. First responders. You could have superhero night. Lots of different things, and that is a group. There's no group
Mm-hmm.
leader to that group. So that's another example of where you can, bundle something in and sell more tickets.
What are some other theme nights that you've seen? And I hate to put you on the spot here, but other theme nights that you've seen that have kind of taken off that surprised you?
Yeah. Well, one of our clients, the Cincinnati Cyclones, had partnered with the zoo there, and I don't really know the story, but there's
Mm-hmm.
something big happened with Fiona the
Uh-huh.
hippopotamus. Something big. It was on national news, so they capitalized on that and they made a bobblehead, and it was kind of like a zoo night, but it included a bobblehead, and the bobblehead was a Fiona the hippo. So
Uh-huh.
her head was bobbling around, and she was wearing a Cincinnati Cyclones jersey. So they got this custom bobblehead made. This thing sold, I don't know if it was 1,000 or 2,000 tickets. It
Holy
was great
smokes.
for Cincinnati Cyclones, and that becomes a collectible item. The promotion looked great, in partnership with the zoo. So we see a lot of campaigns like that really take off. A lot of our clients are doing Grateful Dead nights,
Mm-hmm.
so it's all themed, and you get a T-shirt and some kind of event. Could be pre-game or post-game. So lots of interesting theme nights that we've seen.
Well, let's talk about selling some fan experiences. So teams have done a pretty good job, specifically at the NBA level and the WNBA level, of doing the high five tunnels and pregame shoot arounds and all these different things. They do a great job of selling fan experiences, and now minor league sports as well have done a really good job. But you could also fan experiences are a great opportunity to sell more group tickets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's really one approach of having fan experience as part of group sales is to simply bundle them in to the group,
Mm-hmm.
which this has been done for years. So you might say something like, if your group hits 100 buyers, you get your photo on the ice or your photo on the court post game. So it really lights a fire under the group to really hit that magic number. And if you do, you unlock the experience. So we support that kind of thing with fan experience tracking. So if a team invokes that on the Spinzo platform, the buyers could see how close they are to unlocking that experience. So that's bundling in the experience. But what we're starting to see is that not all experiences are used.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you could support 50 people in the high five tunnel for the start of the game and then halftime, so that's 100 total, maybe you have 60 people signed up for it, or 60 or 70. Well, you have 30 unused slots.
Mm-hmm.
So some of our clients are starting to sell last minute unused fan experiences. So it might be the day before the game or the day of the game, and you could send a link out to all buyers of a game and say, hey, we have slots remaining. So we
Mm-hmm.
did that with the Sacramento Kings this year. It did very well. Any unused fan experiences were simply sold. So they made additional revenue for that. And really, fan experiences should become more customized, in my opinion. And a lot of teams aren't quite doing that yet, but we live in this Instagram generation where
Mm-hmm.
people to prove that they participated in something unique. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, the photo on the court is unique. The high five line is unique, but 100 other people do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see sports teams do maybe more limited VIP but highly customized experiences. For example, maybe before the game, you have 5 or 6 people participate in a selfie session with the mascot, maybe in a
Hmm.
photo booth. And so it's very limited, only 6 people get it, but that experience is worth something great because
Hmm.
now it's very unique to you, only 6 people got it. So I think teams are starting to think more about these VIP style experiences.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I remember a few years ago when I was working in baseball, it was selling the opportunity to sit in the dugout to watch the fireworks show.
That's great.
And that's such a great one, but sometimes we'd offer it to groups as like an add-on or what have you. But what if you don't have someone, you could literally put a link in an email that you're sending out to single game buyers and to know before you go, say, hey, we've got 60 slots. If you want to sit in the dugout, you have to order it here. And then you order it, they come get their wristband or whatever it is to be able to get down. Like those are the things that you make some incremental revenue at the end of the year. You could see an extra 50, 60, 70, even 100 grand just by selling these things incrementally.
That's right. And so, in the way you put it, that's seen as an opportunity to upsell, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
existing clients. But in some way, over time, this may be more of a defensive strategy because it's getting harder and harder to sell commoditized tickets. You
Mm-hmm.
know, since COVID, people got better TVs, they got better couches. You're competing with the watch at home phenomenon right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if you want to compel people to come to the game, you better offer them something unique and special. It shouldn't just be a seat with a particular view of the game. So you're going to have these bundled experiences. And we're seeing it now. A lot of venues are transforming themselves, actually cutting out some seats and adding more hospitality areas because
Mm-hmm.
this is what people want. But if you really want to hit it out of the park, you are going to need to create highly customized VIP experiences that people could upgrade to. And that notion that they can will compel them to come to the game because now they know they could upgrade, in the middle of the game or before the game, get a unique experience, the selfie session with the mascot. These kind of things are going to soon become necessities if you want to drive people to the games.
Yeah, no doubt about that. There's so many light bulb moments in this conversation, and we got a few more topics to hit on. Let's talk about cross selling some sports. So if I work in hockey, does it make sense for me to start promoting to the youth soccer team? Like, does it make sense? Obviously, we want to sell more group tickets, but what are some ways that teams can be able to do it? Number one, does it make sense? And then number two, how can teams do this where it's a win-win for everyone?
It absolutely makes sense. We've seen our clients do it successfully. If you're an NHL team, you can cross sell to hockey, basketball, and other sports. We've seen teams do this. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
People who are involved in youth sports are inherently competitive. They inherently love sports. They
Mm-hmm.
don't only love soccer,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're a soccer player, they might love. In fact, they might enjoy playing soccer, but they might enjoy watching hockey. That was my situation in my youth. I
Mm-hmm.
played youth soccer, but I loved watching hockey a little bit more. So that would be a perfect target for that. So we've seen that work successfully, but not only to target those leagues. I mean, if you expand your horizons, if you're an NHL team, instead of only going to youth hockey, you go to all the sports, flag football, youth basketball, golf, swimming, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You've now increased 5x, 6x your opportunity. And it's not going to be much less likely with other sports teams to get them, other sports to get them on board. Maybe you have 60% of a shot rather than 80%, say, with
Mm-hmm.
youth hockey, but it's still pretty good.
Yep.
So you could increase that way. The other thing I'd mention to not forget about is all the traveling teams. So in any given city, there's usually swim meets, cross country meets, tournaments for all sports.
Mm-hmm.
An NHL, NBA, NFL team, MLS should be on the lookout for all of these events happening in their city. So if you're an MLS soccer team and there's a youth hockey tournament in your community that's going to bring dozens of teams and potentially 3,000 families, I
Mm-hmm.
would go to the organizers of that tournament and offer special group pricing for your MLS team. What happens when your hockey team is out of the tournament? You're
Mm-hmm.
sitting around waiting for your brother or sister to finish playing. You need some things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen that work too, where sports teams target like swim meets, cross country meets, or just other general tournaments, and not necessarily in the same sport.
And that's such a great idea. And it's so obvious, but teams just aren't looking in these spots because we're so narrow focused on selling group tickets the old traditional way. So this
Right.
opens the door. It's tremendous amount of light bulb moments, like I said.
Yeah.
So let's talk fundraisers, because schools, high school bands, there's so many groups out there that like to use sporting tickets to raise money. How can you sell fundraisers and really make it a win-win for everyone?
Yeah, that's a great question. Spinzo for years has accommodated fundraising abilities within our promotions. In fact, what we do is we withhold that fundraising money on behalf of the sports team and then send it out to all the charities or nonprofits or schools or whoever's raising the money. It's all very automated, it's tracked. So I think we've become largely the best in class method to really handle fundraising right now. But yeah, you hit it on the head. Like schools, they want to raise money for playground projects, any other things that they're doing. And so you could do a promotion where $5 from every ticket goes back to the school for their fundraising project. What's neat is that on a platform like Spinzo, and I'm sure likely on others, you could allow buyers to donate additional funds as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're buying your ticket, you might buy 4 tickets. You know that $5 a ticket is going to the playground project. But as the buyer of the ticket, you could add an additional $50 or $100 to the playground project if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
We could show a live fundraising tally on the promotion, so it really becomes a fundraising driver. So you can
Mm-hmm.
see we've now raised $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for the nonprofit. But you could also do competition on that. So we talked about live leaderboards for schools, youth sports, but you can do this as well for schools. So let's say you have 20 schools in a district. You can list them on a leaderboard and show how much money is raised in each one.
Mm-hmm.
And that would include the additional dollars donated from people who buy. So if I'm buying tickets, I buy 4 tickets. I want to donate an additional $100. Though that's going to move the needle
That's going to
on
move it
that
up a little bit
fundraising,
more. Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the sports team could say the school that sells that raises the most as part of this promotion gets additional funds from maybe a silent auction table, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe the foundation chips in, or maybe they just get floor space on the concourse to raise money further for the playground project, for example. So that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities outside of just calling people up, trying to get them to buy blocks of tickets. There's so many things happening in the community between the conventions and these youth groups coming in and soccer clubs and all these different things where so many visitors are in town, and it's a great opportunity to get them to come to your game. And it's not a lot of work on the shoulders of the group sales rep. So I love these ideas. This is such a great ideas, great ideas of thinking untraditionally about how you approach ticket sales and group ticket sales. I love these ideas. So thanks for dropping some great knowledge on us, Emmanuel.
Yeah, no problem, Jeremy. The thing about groups, like people need to understand, is that it's largely becoming the fixer now for ticket sales in general. So it used to be that season ticket members are going to represent a big base of your sales. You have individual tickets, then groups were kind of the afterthought. Now groups really the driver because
Mm-hmm.
season ticket bases are eroding, except for the most notable sports teams. When you're just run of the mill sports team, you're struggling to process season tickets right now. And then individual tickets are challenging because people are watching at home with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different options. So really groups, they're leading the pack. And the other thing I'll mention, just as a tidbit that I've seen now, with the rise of these superstar players like LeBron or Messi for soccer, or Caitlin Clark now for WNBA, it's really throwing a wrench into the pricing
Mm-hmm.
of these games. So if Caitlin Clark's going to play a game, come to your town, tickets might be 5 or 10 times more money than they
Mm-hmm.
were. That sports team's having a hard time figuring out what the price should be. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say they go at 5 times the regular price, and then they have a hard time selling. What are they going to do? If they start dropping the price, it's not going to be good for those fans who paid 5x early
Mm-hmm.
on. So groups is an interesting fixer for that situation in that groups provide a private price.
Mm-hmm.
You can now go to various groups, youth soccer teams, youth hockey teams, schools, companies, and offer them a discounted rate, but it's a private price.
Mm-hmm.
It's not open to the general public. So it gives you the opportunity to sell through those remaining seats at a discounted price without discounting the main public price. So groups is really a key linchpin right now in
Hmm.
being able to solve some of these big ticket challenges that we've seen and that we're going to continue to see.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I was just had a call the other day with a team that was spending 40, 50 grand on their advertising and couldn't get single game tickets to move. And they were doing a lot of impression plays, but they really couldn't. I said, what's your groups look like? And he said non-existent. I'm like, that's where you need to double down because that'll sell you 50 tickets and 60 tickets. That'll build momentum. All of a
Right.
sudden, your normal attendance of 250 or 300 a game now turns into 750 to 1,000. Like that is fantastic. So groups are really, in my mind, same. You and I are cut from the same cloth right now. It's groups are really driving because your season tickets aren't as popular now. Many plans have been coming in there. People are like, hey, I'll come to 3 games or 5 games, which
Yeah.
are great. So, but I always tell teams you got to focus on selling group tickets because when you sell group tickets to specific promotions where people want to
Yeah.
come, like you're going to kick butt.
Well, you mentioned mini plans. Well, that's another thing. A lot of sports teams are stuck in when they sell a mini plan, forcing the buyer into three specific games or five specific games. So that's one mistake, I would say. The other thing is forcing them to pick the games. Let's say it was flexible, flex plan, and
Hmm.
they say it's a flex plan, but you have to pick your 5 games right now when you make the purchase. That's also a mistake, in my opinion.
Hmm.
People don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're
Correct.
doing tomorrow. They don't know what they're doing a week from now, a month from now. So it's you shouldn't force the buyer to pick all the games up front. So at Spinzo, we've developed a flex plan technology actually where the buyer purchases a 5 game plan, but they basically have this special code where they could then redeem later whenever they want for the games. So even if it's day of game, they could then redeem one of their 5 games for that one. Teams need to start thinking about truly flexible flex plans
Mm.
if they want to solve their ticketing strategies. So you really have to take a step back, think creatively, think where the demographics have gone. Younger people make last minute decisions.
They sure
Younger
do.
people want special fan experiences. They want the Instagrammable moment. One thing I often say is if you sell to a millennial right now, you sold the ticket at $50 and they were happy to pay 50 for it, but it's the day of the game and you say, I will refund you $25 of your ticket. So I'll give you half your money back, but you can't take your phone in with you.
Hmm.
You can't document your experience. Do you think someone's going to take that? No.
No
Most people
way.
say, I'm fine with the 50. So what does that tell you? It tells you that over half of the value for the millennial was in documenting the experience. So that means that they would appreciate more special VIP treatment or special access or something like that. So when you start to think like that, you could sell a lot more. And we've seen sports teams do it successfully.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Spinzo for a moment. What is Spinzo? How does it help teams? And if teams are interested to learn more, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, Spinzo, we've been around for 13 years now. We started outside of sports ticketing, but a few years in, we really dug into ticket sales. So we like to say we are reimagining the ticket sales space with a lot of the ideas that you and I have discussed: competition, fundraising, making beautiful pages, skins. So it's the new style
Hmm.
of ticketing, including flex plans. We're used by a lot of the sports teams that you'd know and love, a lot of the NBA, a lot of the NHL, a lot of the NFL, MLS. We work in Canada, US, and Australia. We have a deal with the Australian Football League, PGA Tour Golf. So we are trusted as kind of the private white label provider for promotional ticket sales. That could be groups, could be theme nights, flex plans of the sort. So yeah, people could go to spinzo.com. They could see the clients we have. They could see the services we provide. Very easy to get going with Spinzo. There's no fees, one-time fees, monthly fees. It's just you use the platform. We take a small percentage of what you produce, but it's all direct sales. We're not a reseller.
Hmm.
We just help you sell your tickets. We
We
never
make it
take
easier.
possession of your money. We literally are just a tool for you to sell more tickets and be more efficient. And we've helped reps double or triple their volume by using the platform and all the ideas that you and I just discussed.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get a hold of you, there's probably some contact on your website, or what's the best way?
Yep. Yep. At spinzo.com, there's contact information there. Hello at spinzo.com always comes to us. A lot of the industry already knows about us, but if you want to take a look, dig in a little further, we're happy to show you a demo.
Well, Emmanuel, I appreciate you showing up, dropping so much knowledge, helping teams sell an additional $100,000 in groups this year. I'm looking forward to seeing more teams work with you and hop on the Spinzo train and just sell more tickets and get more people to their games and grow their fan base. But appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for the invite. This was great.